got this house 4 years ago. I really didn't come up thinking I'd grow oysters. We had the water in front of the house here, and I was wondering if it's a possibility.
Westport Island, of course, is your home, but a lot of people, when I mention it, I get a blank stare. Where exactly is Westport Island? And describe it to someone who may not have any understanding or knowledge of what it is.
It is kind of funny because it's in between places that people know, like Bath and Wiscasset and Georgetown and Booth Bay. So it's mid-coast Maine, but it's an island in between Georgetown and Booth Bay. It's about 10 miles long. It's really one of the peninsulas that is sticking out. There's a bridge out here, but it's very rural. It's not developed. There's not a store on the island. So I think why people haven't really heard of it, the big reason is, even though it's right in the middle of mid-coast, it's actually pretty rural.
What are you exactly doing down there?
So those are cages with bags, and they're filled with oysters. Some are less than a year old, and some are 3 years old. So you get seed, which is actually little tiny baby oysters from a hatchery. And then you put them in these bags. You need the cages and the bags really to protect them from predators, especially green crabs.
What are you dumping out here?
Oysters. These are about 6 months old. Six months ago, these were, a 1/10 of an inch. And now they're 1.5 inches or so. So they've been eating and growing all summer.
So what exactly are they feeding on?
Just everything that's in the water. So you don't feed them at all. It's just catching algae and various nutrients from the water. So that, as I said, they're cleansing. They're filter feeders. Bivalves. They supposedly gallons of water a day go through them. Mine grow a little bit slower than other ones because it is intertidal, so they're actually exposed for about a quarter of the day.
And this is probably one of the more pristine areas of the coast, correct?
The water quality here, it's amazing, the infrastructure Maine has around monitoring water quality. So the water quality here is actually, this is always approved unless there's some big event like red tide. So yeah, the water quality here is actually very good.
And that would make sense. We're at the confluence of what, 2 or 3 different rivers here?
Yeah, so that part is super cool. So it actually is a very good spot to be growing them.
How labor intensive is this work? How often do you have to tend these?
So far, because I'm not very big, it's not super labor intensive, and also because I haven't started selling them yet. So for me, honestly, right now, it's not super labor intensive, except at the end of the season, beginning of the season, when I need to do all the equipment. So I'm down here a few times a week, just shaking the bags, cleaning the oysters, making sure everything's good. But if I have more, and more importantly, when I start selling them, that's gonna take a lot more time.
This must be quite an enjoyable hobby, correct?
Yeah, it's great. Come on down here, I'll show you some bigger ones. These are growing outside the bags down here. Whenever I find one that's kind of fallen out and in the mud, I throw it over here. And see all the spiny things? And also, these are always under the water. So generally, oysters are gonna grow on rocks or other oysters, not in the mud. They can't really attach. But these are still alive because they were already grown to a certain extent when I put them over here. But you can't put baby oysters here. The green crabs will eat them.
And green crabs are an invasive species.
Really bad.
And they're voracious.
And they're doing a number on clam business in Maine.
When does the season end? When can you no longer do this?
Well, they hibernate or go dormant when the water goes below 40 degrees, 45 to 40. So, which happens, sometime in December. So they're dormant all all winter where they're not, feeding and such. And then they'll re-wake up in April or something when the water temperature goes above 40. So you actually can eat them during that period. You can eat them year-round. The fall is actually the best. The water's cold, and most importantly, they're kind of fattening up, getting ready for the winter. So prime season is really the fall, but you can eat them year-round. And anybody actually can apply to the state and start an oyster farm.
Should all of those folks who have cornered the market on the Damariscotta River oysters be shaking in their boots that Neil has taken them on here?
No. This is very small operation, very, very small. So no, those guys have led the way. And there's about 200 farms now, so now they're over across the bay here. There's tons of oysters down New Meadows River, down in Casco Bay. They're everywhere right now, but the Damariscotta folks were the ones who led the charge, and they're still the biggest. And no, I'm gonna be small at best.
You're gonna be a minnow to their whale.
That's right. But it's been fun, and I want to make some money though. So it's fun and make a little money would be a good combination. Beautiful being down in the cove. I love coming down here, and I come down low tide, which rotates through the day. Sometimes it's early morning, sometimes middle of the afternoon. It's beautiful being down in the cove, especially on off hours. Take one step at a time. You get used to it.
So is this the spoils of your labor?
I got these yes, they are. This is 2 dozen oysters. So nothing, before we sell them, it's nothing to prevent us from eating them.